And this is a tough question. What are your thoughts on, and you may have never heard these terms before, or you may have, the term banana.
Me.
Yeah, you, okay. The term Oreo, which means a person who's black but white inside. Banana, a person who's yellow but white inside culturally. And there's another term I heard for the first time called egg, which is a white person who is Asian inside.
Oh, right.
I've never heard that, but I have met some white colleagues who associate themselves as being eggs. But the moment they do, particularly in Korea, they're seen as having the yellow fever or the Asian fetish when they admit that they have an over amount of fondness for Asian culture. What are your thoughts on particularly Asian Americans who associate themselves as being a banana?
Woo! You know, I've
that's tough.
Yeah, no, I've heard it. I mean, it's I mean, I guess that's where I would technically fall under.
Okay.
You know, is like someone who's yellow on the outside. I'm yellowish,
Yeah,
but
right.
you know, I was born and raised in New Hampshire, which is
Okay.
you know very small,
Predominantly white.
yeah, very predominantly white. So, look, it's the environment that I was raised in,
Right.
and I never really looked at it that way. You know, it was I never said, you know, I'm a banana. Or,
Right. You don't see yourself that way. These are labels that people
Right.
kind of throw at you, I
Yeah.
guess, right?
What was it? It wasn't banana. It was. I can't think of it right now. But it was never really a case of identifying myself that way. But you know, the thing is I don't usually do that just because it kind of invites a broader topic. You
Okay,
know,
right.
of stuff, and I like to kind of just present myself to people like, you know, hey, how's it going? I'm Tom. You know,
I'm Tom, and
that's
and
it.
accept me as the
Yeah, you know.
individual, right?
I never even bring it up. You know, I just gauge people as I get to meet them. If
Right.
you know, you kind of sense if they're looking to get into that type of a discussion with
Right.
you, or they're looking to kind of compartmentalize what group you're in and stuff
Right.
like that, or if they're just kind of open about everything. So I usually don't use those terms for myself,
Right.
and definitely not for other people. I would never say, "Oh, wow, you must be."
You must be a banana.
Yeah, banana. What was the other?
Oreo.
Egg.
And
Or
egg.
something like that. Because you know,
it's madness.
it is, and I think one of the reasons why I don't do it too is you just never know how that person thinks of all that kind of stuff,
Right.
You know, and who might be within earshot of it. So
Very true. Very
yeah.
true.
So.
And I don't think people take those little things into consideration. For me, no one has ever called me an Oreo, mainly because I have the Haitian background. So they almost associate the Haitian in me as this Caribbean. Like it doesn't have the nuances of being an Oreo. And I was raised in a predominantly mixed atmosphere. A lot of Hispanics, a lot of whites, a lot of blacks. So I was able to kind of navigate through these different cultures,
Right.
but still identify with white culture. I mean, that's what we live in a country in America, in the United States, where that's predominant. Like you learn about white culture and you have to learn about it. So I'm glad to sort of have my foot in all different aspects of identities and cultures. The dangers of positive stereotypes. Well, that's a deep one. The Asian model minority and quote-unquote positive black stereotypes. Are they still dangerous?
It's tough, you know. If somebody came up to me and said, "Wow, you're really smart because you're Asian," I mean, I guess I'd be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's cool." But
Right.
if they're like, you know, they said something, I don't know, about history. Oh, you like to bomb Pearl Harbor or something because you Japs are that way. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not even Japanese.
Right. But then again, like when you accept certain positive stereotypes, then the expectation can be higher for some who don't fit that stereotype, right?
Right.
So like for example, I did an interview series with my students, and I asked them, who are all good in math? And half of the class was like, I hate math. And it just broke it all down. And I think my biggest experience was working at a vocational high school. And the stereotypes for blacks is that we're good in sports and we can sing, but we don't get the privilege of having the intelligent stereotype. So here I am as an American teacher teaching at a vocational high school with students who are bad in regular schools, and so we sort of, I don't know, I guess broke those stereotypes simultaneously, and I've always thought that positive stereotypes, whether it's black being good in sports, were still quite troubling because it sort of reduces our humanity.
Sure.
We get labeled unintentionally or intentionally all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Why I never really get into. I mean, on the inside, it's important to really address it. Whether when you're looking at somebody, not to apply stereotypes and stuff like that. Right. Because look, here, I couldn't think of one, but here's one. All Asian people are small and short. Well, I'm 6'3". Now, technically, my father was big, and when I say that, a common comment is, "Oh, that's because your father's white."
Wow.
And I said, "Well, and I'm sure they mean
They
fine.
just mean.
But my response, as my brain developed, was always, well, actually, I would put it this way: I'm tall because my father's tall, and he happens to be white.
Yeah, it happens.
Because you know what? I see some big boys walking around this place, and also in China and stuff like that. So, stereotypes are kind of funny. I think they're all meant to be broken, but they're there. They just kind of happen. I mean, it's not. I don't know if some of them are malicious, but I think a lot of them are just they just happen.
It's funny you mentioned that because you're 6'3", I'm 5'9". I'm like the world average height. So I came to Korea and I'm like, man, Koreans are tall. Koreans are the tallest of the East Asians. So
some of them are pretty tall.
Yeah, so it just it threw me back because I had some deeply held prejudices, but it wasn't a prejudice. It was a stereotype that Asians were at least my height because I am short in America, in the United States, I'm considered a average height, an average man. So when I saw all of these tall Asian guys, I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, some of them are big.
Yeah.
Which surprises me because the subway doors are still pretty low.
Right.
And I've smashed my head on those things. When I first came here, I mean, I would smash my head on those things.
Is there any funny cultural things, any stories that you've that you have about Korea that you'd like to share?
Ooh,
there's a lot. Of course, there's
probably
a
few quirky things.
You're right.
Anything in particular, or pertaining to?
I'll share a story.
You lead the way.
I'll lead the way. Obviously, I have long dreadlocks. They call reggae modi, and ajumas. Ajumas are older, middle-aged Korean women, and mind you, a lot of them don't like to be called ajumas. It's almost like a fashion thing, right? It depends on what they wear that you can kind of gauge whether they're an ajuma or not. But anyhow,
the big visor,
right? If you see a big visor, yeah, she's probably an ajuma. But they have no qualms to just physically touch you,
really,
without asking you whatsoever. So I'm in the subway, I'm on a phone, I'm kind of texting away, and I just feel
a hand
just molestation, and I'm like, lady, you need to stop. I'm starting to like it. But
that's happened a few times.
Oh yeah,
really.
They want to ask if my hair's real or not. So, 이거 진짜 머리요? 네네, 진짜 머리요. 어떻게 감아요? 이렇게 할 수 있어요. Head and Shoulders 알아요? 네, Head and Shoulders 알아요. And so we're having a full-blown conversation about my hair, and she's still just curling away. And then all of a sudden, she calls all of her friends. 야, 이리 와. 진짜 머리요. 진짜. Really? It's real. So I have 6, 7 ajumas come over, and they're just touching me all over, rubbing my skin.
Wow.
Yeah. And that happens quite often.
Sheesh. I mean, in my case, it's probably the polar opposite because like no one ever looks twice at me. They just assume that I'm Korean.
That you're Korean.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it gets kind of funny when they find out that I'm Korean, but then I don't speak the language,
Right.
and they're just kind of like looking at me like, "What is wrong with you? So dishonorable." You know what I mean? And you can feel it. You know, they're just looking at you like, and they're looking past me, and they're looking at my mother, and they're like, "You are dishonorable." You know what I mean?
How dare you?